Good afternoon. You know, my English is not very good. My Russian is not very good, and I prepare some reflection on the paper. It will be some concert, only 5 pages. You know, I am mayor. I started 26 years ago. And let me, at the beginning, some personal story. 26 years ago, I was a 25 years old graduate student of law at Gdańsk University of Gdańsk. For the first time in my life, I was elected councillor of Gdańsk. I was very proud. I was very, dynamic young man, but I think I feel dynamic still. Man, but not young. Me and my colleagues, we had no experiences with local democracy. We had no experience how to manage a city. Completely, open. Open, it means without any experiences, any knowledge. All what we had was a desire and determination to make city of Gdańsk and other Polish cities a great place for living, for happy living. A place for residents would be happy. The happy is the main key to the story, to the future and to the past. Our ally was enthusiasm and confidence showed to us by residents of Gdańsk. Our main opponent was so-called Homo Sovieticus, a term coined by Mikhail Heller, the Russian thinker, and Polish Józef Tischner. In the Russian language, it means Sovietsky человек. Do you remember this? You understand this means. Everybody then had at least a bit of Homo Sovieticus in his or her soul, including me too. I knew that restoration of civic society would be a long and difficult process. How did we reach this goal? Our answer was the honest dialogue with residents and rebuilding social integrity. Dialogue and cooperation for improving the nearest neighborhoods, a nicer backyard, a new playground near a school, and so on and so on. Honesty and integrity were not values endorsed by the communists. What was critical in our actions were good intentions, engagement, transparency, credibility, and trust. No matter who leads the change, politician or activists, he or she has to learn new things every day, every week, every month. The true leader seeks for allies for the change he or she is dreaming for. I think Polish experience of transformation is universal in many ways. This is why I would like to tell you about 2 main risks for reconstruction of civic society. The first risk regards to the government, the central government and local government, in whole government. Paternalism towards citizens and NGOs is a natural tendency for the authorities in post-communist societies. In Poland today, it's still a risk too. The government likes to think it knows better and has to protect society like child. We know better what is good for you because I'm mayor, I'm prime minister, I'm president of Poland, of Ukraine, and I knew better than you. Of course, it's not true. It's not true. The government who wants to regain the trust of society should demand more from itself. It has to be transparent. It has to avoid Byzantine style of governing. You know Byzantine, many cars, bodyguards, you know. I'm very important man, you know. I feel this when I come, for example, to the Kaliningrad, for example. It has to be modest. Modest, I think, is very important value now in our post-communist society. Modest in style of working, modest in style in communication, you know, very important value. It should not make social organization depend from a system of grants. Corruption and nepotism are the other great risk in the time of change. The central government should limit itself. It should delegate as much power and money as possible to local governments. Vice central government can be a great supporter of a newborn civic society. It can help restore social capital. You know, social capital is other very important category. The second risk regards non-government organizations, because all medals have two sides. Social activists and organizations are fundamental for the democratic reconstruction. They are apostles, bringing good news to the civil society. You are apostles, the new civic news. It's very important. They usually work among a passive society, among people who don't trust each other. They work with people who are not resistant to populism, nationalism, and simple solutions for complex issues. NGOs should be patient and persistent, should avoid radicalism and populism. NGOs should care for the independence from political parties and politicians like me. You know, cooperation is important. It's very important. But remember to keep a distance. You know, half a meter. Adamowicz here and you here. But distance is very important. Credibility and trust are the most precious thing NGOs can have. It's very easy to lose it. It's very easy to lose it. You remember, engaging too much on the side of politicians or government. Because, you know, we collected trustness, credibility for the long time. But it's very easy to lose this credibility in one moment, in one day, in the 1 hour. We are in Kiev, the capital city of Ukraine. Most of us here live in cities. We should do much more in our cities than just care about our streets, sidewalks, and infrastructure. A city is much greater thing than just a place of generate wealth of its residents. It's very complex, living body that we need to keep it. We need to improve well-being of residents living in our cities. So, how to restore and develop activity of the civic society? First of all, we need to find out what are dreams of single residents. It's very important. Mayors, ministers, MPs, President of Republic must every time, every day asks people, what's your dreams of Gdańsk? What's your dreams of Poland? What's your dreams of Ukraine? It's very important. Our friend from Warsaw said about it, that asking is very important mechanism in civic society, in democracy. Always, then we need to find out what are the needs and aspirations of social groups. Always remember that the best foundation for the happy, satisfied society are strong social relations. You know, in Ukraine, in Poland, we have a problem with trustness. And trustness we must practice all day, every time. Only physical relation is a good way for restore of trustness among our citizens. Let's create space of empathy, friendship, and trust among people. Without trust, we won't be able to build strong yet limited state. There will be no competitive economy. Without trust, there will be no happy cities inhabited by happy residents. Who can be your allies in the reconstruction of the civic culture and civic society? Let me name 5 them. 1, all democracy-oriented activists, non-government organizations, foundations, informal groups, unions, student association, employers associations. 2, members of universities, academia, schools should promote best practice. They should not engage in politics. They won't, because they won't lose their credibility. 3, Christian churches can promote ethical attitudes among the society. Parish councils can be the place where people learn how to engage in local district life. Remember that every church is tempted to ally with a government in order to gain financial benefits, prestige and influence. But church can teach generosity and engagement too. Of course, we know in Poland now we have a problem, but many bishops, many leaders in the parish, you know, like very much contact with the government. They looking for some benefits, and it's not good for the churches. It's not good for the religion. 4th, of course, free media, people creating culture. They are the pillar of democratic culture, the civic society and state. And 5, finally, the government, local government and second government and officials. If only they are aware of their role in democracy, they may be important partners for the civic society. However, social and political leaders of change may fall into many different traps. To name just a few them: civic culture lacking deeper roots, social elites are uncertain to their role, lack of the role of models. All this exposes the social change to risk. I see here in this hall many leaders of the future, good future. It's a great honor for me to be here because you remind me the time in my life when I started to build democracy in Poland, in my city of Gdańsk. I deeply believe you are the people who will transform Ukraine into the stable, prosperous country. It won't be an easy task. You must be patient. You must be steadfast in changing your country for better. Find allies and never ever be afraid to lead the change. Thank you very much for your attention.
Paweł, so we live in the time when, also thanks to the technology, things are moving very fast. While in order to have the trust with the people you work, and everything you speak, it's a lot about this sustainable development, results in the long term. People want to have very fast results, and sometimes they get disappointed when they work and work and work, and you don't see these short-term results. So what do you do with that?
This is, of course, big problem. I remember very well my last election. It was 2014. I rebuilt my city of Gdańsk. I built a new stadium, you know. The final championship in football was in Gdańsk, you know. Many fantastic investments. And in my election, I had 2 tours. You know, before that, I won in the first tour. But my election, I had 2 tours. And, you know, it was for me a big lecture. Why? Maybe I spent many times with my citizens, but I think maybe I must more time spent directly with my citizens. I think maybe people think that Adamowicz is too proud man. Maybe Adamowicz made some mistakes. And for me, it was the lecture for me very deeply. I think in Ukraine, the situation is that your point start is from the another level. And I feel that citizens in many cities, they will proud of any positive, you know, change first. But I think the most important is a new style of policy, new style of activity of politicians, Ukrainian politicians in each cities in Ukraine, and of course on the central level. People must look that